Happy Murder a Complete Stranger for a Flat Screen TV Friday, everyone. How's it going? Happy Thanksgiving holiday weekend, everybody. And we are right on the heels of Survivor Series 2022 live tomorrow night from Boston. First time WWE has held Survivor Series on the same week as Thanksgiving in quite some time. So it's a busy weekend for all of us here, especially in the States. I hope you guys, first and foremost, had an excellent Thanksgiving yesterday for those of you who celebrated it. Hope you enjoyed your time off from work. Hope you enjoyed your time with your family. And I hope you stuffed your faces with some delicious food and a lot of your Aunt's world-famous casseroles and stuff like that. Hope you guys had a great one. We are here today to predict Survivor Series. We're going to kind of wing this one. This stream, I'm not going to lie, was in jeopardy because I was dealing with a lot of personal stuff due to my auto accident today, and I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to pull this off, but we are. We're here. We're ready to rock and roll. We even have some news to get into, and Rampage, AEW Rampage aired for me here on the West Coast at 1 o'clock p.m. this afternoon. I hadn't even had lunch yet, and fucking Rampage is on. So I basically missed all of the show except for the main event. Saw the whole turn of 10 on the Dark Order, the beatdown of Evil Uno, and the heartbreak of -1. I thought that was all really good stuff. So we will talk a little bit about that, and we have a big update on Randy Orton and his injury, and we'll talk about what we saw a little bit this week on TV as well before we dive into Survivor Series. We should wrap this stream up in plenty of time for SmackDown. This should only be about an hour long because I only have 5 matches written down for Survivor Series. There's an excellent chance tonight on SmackDown they could tack on another one. We know we're going to get the mystery partner in the women's WarGames match announced tonight on SmackDown as well. They might chuck another match on there. Something went down last week with Gunther and Strowman. I don't know if they'll chuck an IC title match on here or something. I don't know. But as of right now, we only have 5 matches announced for tomorrow. So that's what we're going to predict, and we're going to talk about the scenarios surrounding some of these matches and, what might happen and whatnot. Plus, we'll, be discussing some other tidbits as well, including the phenomenal video that was posted by Dominic Mysterio last night of him and Rhea Ripley showing up at the Mysterios, showing up at his parents' house and attacking Ray in his own goddamn living room or dining room or whatever. Was pretty good stuff. I should have driven over there. We live in the same city. See if I could help out the Mysterios in any way, because when Dominic mentioned his mom's tamales, Greg would like to try one of those, please. But that was great, great stuff last night. So we'll kind of shoot the shit, talk about everything here, and hang out and predict WWE Survivor Series. Of course, we will be here live tomorrow night immediately following the pay-per-view to review the whole thing. So the link is already up on my channel, and I have put a link in the description down below. So go ahead and give that a click, save it, give it a like for tomorrow, and we'll be up here after the pay-per-view to hang out and discuss the show. I'm looking forward to WarGames returning to a major pay-per-view format. First time WWE's taken this concept and put it on one of their own major pay-per-views. And the fact that it's on Survivor Series, considering how Survivor Series started, and that whole deal is very kind of ironic and kind of full circle moment too. I found that whole thing very funny and kind of interesting that WarGames is actually going to be held for the first time at Survivor Series, since the two are very closely linked from 1987. But anyway, we're going to have lots to talk about today. Hope you guys are having an excellent one. I'm going to say hi to everybody in the chat, and we'll get rolling here in just a minute. Please don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. We need likes more than ever before on this channel, so if you guys can help me out there, I would appreciate it. I have recently joined the Instagram family. I have all these years, I never started an Instagram account. We finally began an Instagram page last week. You can join and follow me over there. Link is also in the description, or you can just search Good Mic Work 1 in your Instagram search bar, and I'll pop right up, and you can save me and follow me and all that stuff. And I also want to apologize for my asshole neighbor's barking dog. There's 2 dogs out there. They both want to be let inside, and they're barking at the back door, and the neighbors are not letting them in. And it's distracting as all hell. So hopefully you guys are not getting any feedback or audio from that dog yapping its balls off outside. But we'll try to get this podcast done in spite of the dog. But good to see Tatanani. Chaz Medeiros, welcome to the family, my friend. Good to see you. As well as Mab, Red Raven Rucker, Financial Truth Academy is in the house as well, along with How Wheezy, Deshaun, rounding out the channel members for right now. We also have Adam in the house. We got Jay Lambo. We also have Gilbert, Annie Linnell, JL, Janelle Jackson, good to see you as well. Ben Espinoza is here. And Mab, I think I got you. Good little handful of people on hand for this afternoon. I hope you guys have not ventured out into the world too much today. It's Black Friday here in the United States. It's an absolute madhouse craziness all in these stores and people trampling each other, murdering each other, and shooting each other to save $50 on a fucking TV. It's insane. So if you are out in this madness, and if you happen to be one of the unlucky souls working in retail today, may God have mercy on your soul. And I'm thinking about you. I really am. Hope everything goes as good as possible. I always find it really funny that less than 24 hours, just a few hours after, we're all sitting around a table with our families, giving thanks, talking about what we love about everybody and what makes us thankful to be here and be alive. And the very next day, you're willing to rip another human being's head off to get an iPad. Very strange. Very strange country we live in here. I have never purchased anything on Black Friday, ever. I might have made an online purchase here or there throughout the years, but I've never really done any crazy Black Friday shopping, and I sure as shit have never camped out in front of a fucking Walmart. So if you are in the path of this Black Friday storm, just know that I'm thinking of you, and I hope everything goes well today. Good to see Mongolian Chop in the house as well. Vash Starwin is here as well. Sonic Plays. J-Mac. Right on. A few more rolling in. Again, just make sure you subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, and make sure you check that description because tomorrow's Survivor Series review is in there, along with my Instagram link and all sorts of other goodies. Spaz Phoenix checking in, member for 3 months. What's up, dude? Hey, Greg, I'm sure we're all glad you're good. Yes, by the way, I am good. Thank you for that. I was dealing with a lot of my car stuff today. For those of you who were with us on Wednesday night, I was not supposed to be here for a Dynamite Live reaction because I had to work because I was going to be off for Thanksgiving to be with my family. Well, on my way to work on Wednesday, right when Dynamite started, basically just a couple minutes before Dynamite went on the air, I was involved in a pretty gnarly accident. A drunk or high or something, some guy fucked up on drugs, ran out in front on purpose in front of oncoming traffic and got hit by the car in front of me. And he slammed on his brakes, and then I slammed into that car, messed my car up pretty good. All my airbags went off. I've got a burn on my wrist and a bruise on my other wrist, but other than that, I walked away perfectly fine. And my car is probably totaled. We're not totally sure yet, but since the airbags went off and everything, it's probably fucked to hell. So cops were there immediately. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't the driver's fault who hit the guy. We were both, the cops were very cool. And like, both you guys are cool. And neither one of you guys are going to be at fault for this. Just our insurance are going to have to work it out. And that's going to be a huge inconvenience. But the guy that got hit and ran over, he's a mess, but he's going to live. And everybody, all the eyewitnesses and everything said he ran out in front of the car on purpose. And we don't really know the story there, but it was a whole scary situation. And I missed a night of work. And I came home that night after I got done with the police and the ambulance came, got the guy out of there. I'm sitting there on the side of the road with no car. So I call an Uber, I get my ass home, and there's 30 minutes left of Dynamite. So I was able to catch the rest of that. Then I backtracked a little bit and caught the Elite CM Punk stuff because, of course, Dynamite was in Chicago. And I thought to myself, you know what? Let's go up and do an impromptu stream. So we came up on Wednesday night. We did a quick little Dynamite recap. I'd only seen about 60% of the show, and we talked about it in very general terms. But I also filled you guys in on what happened to me in the accident and that kind of stuff. And I gave all of my thoughts on the trolling of the Chicago crowd by the Elite, what Kenny and the Bucks did in that match, the biting, the buckshot lariat botch, all that stuff. I talked about Jericho. We talked about Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter and the Thunder Rosa title situation. We got into all of that. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, you can watch Wednesday's Dynamite recap. And I got into all of that. Plus, I cropped out my could CM Punk return to AEW based on what we saw on Wednesday, cropped that portion out of the podcast and threw it up in a mic drop. So you have my thoughts on the channel currently right now about that whole situation if you are interested in it. But we won't be getting into that here because I touched on it a lot on Wednesday. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm fine. I appreciate everybody's concern and support and all the love you've shown me on social media. I walked away from that thing virtually unscathed, so I am forever grateful. And like I said on Wednesday, at the end of the day, all this is going to wind up being for me is an inconvenience. Dealing with the insurance, dealing with the claims adjuster and getting a new car and figuring all that out. It's an inconvenience, but I still have my life. I still have my health, and that's all that matters. So I appreciate all of your support, all of your well wishes, but honestly, I'm fine. Greg is totally fine, and I'm just happy that me and the other driver walked away from it. The pedestrian was not so lucky, but he also will live. So it could have been 100 times worse. This could have happened in the dark. This could have happened without a lot of witnesses around, but luckily 100 people saw this happen. So everybody told the cops, it's not this guy's fault. It's not this guy's fault. That pedestrian's nuts, and I was lucky, very, very lucky. So don't forget to wear your seatbelt, 10 and 2, and stay focused. I actually think because it's my first airbag experience, I think my hands saved me. I've heard a lot of people getting hit in the face and struck in the face, and I think it did hit my nose because my nose was a little warm and hurt a little later afterwards, but it wasn't that bad. I think my hands, since they were on the wheel, stopped it, and that's why I've got 2 pretty burns and bruises on my wrists instead of my face, and then I'd have to be up here doing a stream all busted looking. So at least you got a one-piece good mic work up here doing stuff, but yeah, scary. My first airbag experience. I haven't been in an accident in 30 years. So to hit a car and have an airbag explode in you is pretty nerve-wracking. I even stumbled out of the car a little bit. I was kind of like a little disoriented. I had no fucking clue what happened. And then when I started putting it all together and realized I wasn't hurt, I was happy. So again, thank you to everyone for all of your support in the last couple of days. Shit happens. You just got to deal with it. Also, I want to say hi to Danny in the house. Also, George Morris chiming in. Good to see you, man, with your token $5. Hey, Greg, how are you doing? Glad you survived the accident. How are your cats? And watch along. What watch along are we doing this Sunday? How about Survivor Series 1992? I do like that one. Brett and Sean. Unfortunately, as I mentioned last week, there will be no watch along this Sunday because it's Survivor Series weekend. I need to be off tomorrow for Survivor Series, and I was off Thursday. So I'm going to work Sunday night just to alleviate some pressure there. So there will be no watch along Sunday, but there will be one next Sunday. So we have to figure that out. We're probably, George, going to be moving on to Starrcades. I think a week from this Sunday, we're probably going to do Starrcade 1997. So unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to squeeze in another Survivor Series or not. Probably not. So I think we're going to move on to Starrcades in December. I'm going to let the members decide. I'll put up a poll of like 4 Starrcades, let you guys pick. Right now, it looks like a lot of people want to do Starrcade 1997, so I will at least throw that one on the poll and allow you guys to vote. Keep a lookout for that if you are a channel member this week, because only the channel members get to decide this one. But we are going to be doing a Starrcade next month, and we are due for a members-only watch-along, which will do a 2-hour show, maybe a Nitro or something. We're going to do that in December, and I will set up that date very, very soon as I can. I wasn't expecting this monkey wrench of car accident to be thrown in front of me, so I have to kind of deal with this right now, but once that's all figured out, we'll be back focused 100%, and I'll get some dates nailed down for all that stuff in the near future for you. Appreciate that. Also, Divine Ricks, thanks for that $5, my friend. Good to see you as well. Hey, Greg, I'm happy you are safe. What are your thoughts about the news of Randy Orton's injury? Heard he's going to be gone for a long time. Devastated. Absolutely devastated. Love Randy Orton. Probably became more of a Randy Orton fan just in the last couple of years than I was before. I've always liked Randy. I've always had Randy Orton's back because Randy has had a lot of heat. He's got a lot of flack from fans throughout the years for various reasons or whatnot, but I've always been a Randy Orton supporter overall. I've always criticized him when he's made mistakes and whatnot, but overall, I think Randy is so good, and I was a big, big fan of his dad growing up and stuff, so I've always like kind of had a love, kind of like Cody, and I was Dusty is the same thing. Dusty had that kind of connection with me as a little fella, and Ace Orton did as well, so I just kind of naturally want Cody and Randy to do well, but given the news we saw today, which I will read the Fightful Select article here in just a little bit, doesn't look good for the old Viper. But hopefully, with enough rehab, he can come back and have one more run on top. I think fans are going to be really happy to see him if he's able to come back in a year's time or whatever it is. And if he is, and he's healthy and he's back 100%, and that's a big if at this point, would be really cool if Randy Orton could have one more run on top before he calls it a career. But things are pretty up in the air and sketchy right now with Randy Orton and his health, and we just wish the Viper the best. He's going to go down as one of the greats, that's for sure, and especially in that era that he came up in, with the Cenas and the Brocks and all that. He held his own, and he became one of the longest, had the most title runs of anybody, or one of them anyway. Anywho, yeah, that's going to be discussed here in just a little bit, and I think that does it for all the pleasantries. Oh, yeah, Tatanani, you did say you were at Starrcade in 1997. I forgot where it was. Where was the location for Starrcade? Was it New York? It wasn't New York, was it? It might have been New York. I forget where it was. What a mess that pay-per-view was, too, by the way, with the whole... I think Kevin Nash, I don't think, showed up, right? There was something going on with Nash and some heart attack or something from what I remember. He no-showed the pay-per-view. I think he was supposed to work Scott Hall, but I can't remember. Maybe not Scott. I forgot who he was supposed to work against. Maybe the Giant. I think he was supposed to work against the Giant. And then, of course, the Sting match at the end and the weird Nick Patrick count and the shadiness that probably went on backstage with Hogan trying to protect himself. Sting not showing up looking the greatest. You know, he had been out of the ring for 17 months or whatever it was. He came back. No tan, his physique had faded away, and it just fell flat after all that build. It was one of the better built storylines they ever did because of how long it took for Sting to transform into this Crow character and all the shit he was doing in the rafters to finally come full circle and get back in the ring and face Hogan all of these months later, and for them to completely shit the bed. And Bret Hart was there. How do you fuck that up? How do you put Sting in the ring for the first time in a year and a half and have Bret Hart there, against one of the most over heels, one of the most despised heels of all time in Hogan, and you don't, break serious records with this pay-per-view and make memories? It was actually the opposite. It was a forgettable show, and a lot of what they did at the end was not very memorable, memorable for the wrong reasons, basically. But yeah, we might be watching Starrcade 97 together. Baltimore, Maryland. Thank you for that, Tatanani. Spaz Phoenix is in the house. Go shoot Spaz Phoenix a follow. That's a good-looking Bret Hart, good mic work icon by your name. Go shoot his channel some love. Give him a follow and a subscription. Cheap plug for my WarGames preview pod. I went into great detail on who the fifth woman should be. I think I gave good justifications for Dana, Sarah, Liv, Emma, Piper, Beth, Candice, Tegan, and Becky. Ooh, I like Piper. Yeah, where's Dewdrop? I would love for them to bring back her as Piper Niven. Wouldn't that be cool? I could see Triple H doing that. That would be great. I think they're supposed to reveal who the partner is on SmackDown tonight. So that's probably a good idea because, as we'll talk about later in the predictions, whoever you're going to have as this final partner, you got to remember that Survivor Series is in Boston. So if you don't announce the partner before, and it's a mystery all the way up until match time, you're going to have 20,000 people expecting Sasha Banks. And WWE should at least be aware of that's who the fans are going to expect. So if they're not going to have it be Sasha, you better let the cat out of the bag prior to that if it's not going to be that much of a surprise, because I think anything other than Sasha would be considered a letdown by that audience. So it's probably a good idea for them to reveal it tonight. I like the Tegan idea. I like Tegan Knox because of her and Dakota Kai. Dakota turned on her in the WarGames match, remember, a few years back. Was that the one I was at, or was that the one after? I can't remember, but it was a big deal when Dakota turned. It was a great moment. And for Tegan to show up and be on the opposite side, again, if you are having some sort of a segment in the ring where you say, our fifth partner is Tegan Knox, even though there are a lot of fans like myself that would find that interesting because of the history between her and Dakota, I'm not sure how much of a reaction she'd get from the audience. We saw Emma come back a few weeks ago to tumbleweeds and crickets and shit, so I don't know what kind of a reaction someone like Tegan Knox would get. And if it's a current member of the roster that we're already familiar with, like a Dana, a Sarah, and Emma, a Piper Niven, Beth Phoenix would be good, or even a Candice, then that's why I think SmackDown is a good place just for them to reveal that. I also think Becky Lynch should at least be mentioned. However, I feel like if it was going to be Lynch, well, maybe not necessarily. I feel like if it was going to be Becky Lynch, they would make that announcement on Raw, correct? But I guess it wouldn't matter. Everybody's probably going to be on SmackDown tonight anyway. I just think that if Becky came back and she came back tonight on SmackDown, I think maybe fans would think that she's now on SmackDown. You know what I mean? So I feel like if it was going to be Becky, they might have revealed that on Raw last Monday, but I don't know. So I think Becky shouldn't be ruled out because apparently her rehab and recovery is going along quicker than expected, and she might be back. Another name too, Spaz, is Charlotte. I wouldn't rule Charlotte out either. That would put her back, however, though, as a baby face. Can't remember if she was a babyface before she left. I don't think she was. But again, I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense either, because I think when Charlotte comes back, her target is going to be Ronda Rousey. So if anything, if Charlotte's going to return at Survivor Series, I think maybe she returns in the Ronda and Shotzi match, and has nothing to do with WarGames. So I'm kind of, in my mind, ruling Charlotte out as well. But yeah, since they're going to announce tonight on SmackDown, I'm not expecting it to be Sasha. Plus, since Sasha and Naomi left together, it would be weird to bring just one of them back in a multi-woman match instead of both of them. Since they left together, they should come back together. So there's lots of possibilities. Either way, we're going to know in about 2 hours who, or less even, who that final person is going to be. So we'll see if any of these suggestions turn out to be true come SmackDown time in just about an hour and a half. Could be Alba Fire, yeah, Melba Toast as I call her. It is weird how some names they are changing and some they're not. You saw what they did to Mia Yim, right? They brought Mia Yim back and then they changed it to what, Michin or something, which I think means crazy and something. And then fans are like, that's horseshit, and then they change it back to Mia Yim. So we still have Butch running around, which I think is ridiculous, even though the Brawling Brutes with the stupid Butch name and the stupid faction name are still hugely over, and they have been entertaining the hell out of me. And I've forgiven Ridge Holland for his big accident. You know, the Brawling Brutes have been really fun to watch, and they're great. So despite the stupid name, it's got over despite that. So I think it would be great if they could. I understand that they have to have some WWE names. Sometimes you're going to have to change someone's name so you can own the IP or whatever. But some of these name changes are just ridiculous and pointless. So if they were willing to change Mia Yim back to Mia Yim, I know it would be weird if they changed Butch back to Pete Dunne. I just find it still, to this day, ludicrous that you had a guy on your roster for like 4 years and then you're just going to up and change his name. I mean, it's not like, and just repackage him when there was no reason for a repackage. You just called him up as Pete Dunne, but Vince McMahon is a fucking idiot on a scale almost impossible to parody when it comes to this stuff, because he's got his own ideas. And when he sees somebody, these people spend all this time, all this energy, all this effort in NXT to get themselves over their character, their persona, connect with the fans, get the fans understanding and used to who they are. And then the minute you get up to the main roster, Vince looks at you and thinks you look funny in suspenders and then says, that's what we're going to do now. I am so glad that batshit old man is gone. I swear to God. But anyway, with that stuff, it would be cool if Alba went back to Kaylee Ray and Butch went back to Pete, but I don't know. I think that's a case-by-case basis. You know, they changed Mia Yim's back, but why nobody else? So I don't know what goes into this thought process or anything like that, but the name changes are ridiculous. Spaz, 5 more from you. I ruled out Charlotte because I think she'll come back for Ronda, and to me, the Charlotte-Shayna match in the interim is a tasty match. Yeah, Charlotte and Shayna. Yeah, I just said the same thing. I think if Charlotte is going to make an appearance here at Survivor Series, it will be against Ronda Rousey, or in the Ronda and Shotzi match, I should say. And Ronda and Charlotte have a ton of history at Survivor Series. I was there 4 years ago, Shonda and Charlotte and Ronda, and they had a pretty crazy match together. I've talked about it many times, how the crowd kind of turned on Ronda, and I think that was the night that she said, you know what, fuck wrestling, and became an asshole, because Charlotte was so hated. Charlotte was hated. She had the same hate 4 years ago. She wins too much, blah, 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 same shit you hear from everybody. So everybody hates her because she wins. So she already had that hate going into the match, and then the fans, for some reason, decide to side with Charlotte when she's wearing the hell out of Ronda with the kendo stick, beating the fuck out of her. And Ronda was, I remember looking at the crowd that night, like as she was walking in the back, like, what the hell is wrong with you, you know? And I think that really changed her a lot. So they have history at this event. So Charlotte coming back and attacking Ronda here would be pretty good. Or maybe, I mean, we have Ronda Rousey and Shotzi on the Survivor Series card. Why would they even do that match? Wouldn't that just be on SmackDown? Does anybody think that Shotzi has a chance to win the title? No. But what if Charlotte comes back and costs Ronda the title? Take a ref bump, Charlotte comes out, does something to Ronda, knocks her down, Shotzi wins the championship. We have to have a title change on this show, right? So just wait for my predictions. Just wait. You'll hear what I have in store. But yeah, there's lots of cool things that could be done at Survivor Series tomorrow. Oh yeah, I forgot about Chloe's right. I forgot about Raquel Rodriguez. Plus, she has history with Rhea Ripley. That's right, she does. Rhea's going to be on the other side. She also has history with Dakota Kai, right, as well. So yeah, Raquel could definitely be the 5th member as well. It's weird that, you know, they're taking so long to decide the 5th member. If it's just going to be Raquel, like, why wasn't it Raquel the whole time, you know? It implies that maybe WWE was holding out hope that they could get some bigger name and have a big surprise, but that didn't happen, so they just filled it in there. I don't know what the point is if it turns out to be a Dana or, you know, if it turns out to be any current roster member, basically. Anybody who's currently on the roster or not injured, if it turns out to be them, why wasn't it just announced that the whole time? The fact that they're revealing somebody here makes me think it's either a returning star or a newly signed star. So that's why it could be Tegan Nox, or it could be a Becky who's been injured, maybe even a Candice who's been injured. You could do Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix seems very likely as well because of Rhea Ripley on the other side. Rhea, of course, at Crown Jewel came out with the Beth Phoenix hair, or not a Crown Jewel. Where the last fucking pay-per-view was. Might have been Crown Jewel. Came out with the Beth Phoenix hair. That issue was clearly not over between the two of them. But at the same time, I thought maybe they'd hold off Ripley and Beth for another time. But I think Beth Phoenix is extremely likely as well. But we will be talking about that in just a couple of minutes. We have to get into some other stuff first. And I want to begin with the big injury update on Randall Orton. Not looking good for the Viper. This is courtesy of Fightful Select. Randy Orton probably isn't headed back anytime soon, and the article goes on to say Randy Orton has been out of action since late May, when he and RK Bro teammate Matt Riddle dropped the Raw Tag Team titles to the Usos. Shortly after, Fightful Select reported that Orton had a significant injury and that he was expected out through the end of the year. We've learned even more on that. Fightful has learned that Randy Orton required a fusion in his lower back that would keep him out of action for an extended period of time. The surgery has already happened, though we don't know when it happened. His wife had posted a picture of him around the operation. However, there were some in WWE that told us they'd be fortunate to have him back after such a long career and the significance of the injury. That's not good. We've also heard from some in the company that says that when he was initially injured, Orton insisted he would eventually return. However, there are no creative plans in order for Randy to return at this time and no timetable for his comeback. As of now, Randy Orton is contracted through 2024, though we don't know if contract time could be added or frozen due to the injury. So Randy Orton had some pretty major back surgery done, apparently. No idea when exactly this happened. All we know is that it is done, and he has gone through the surgery, and that report of some in WWE saying they would be fortunate to have him back after an injury like that, kind of implies that many people think that he has a legitimate chance to not ever wrestle again, which absolutely sucks. But Randy Orton is also, a very strong, athletic guy. We've seen people come back from some pretty serious injuries before. Back surgeries and back issues are always funny because it is usually related with a lot of pain and stuff. So it's just a matter of, how his rehab goes and if the issues are fixed and if he can get cleared by a doctor and if he can wrestle at a high level. That's a lot of ifs. So at the end of the day, all we can do in the meantime is wish the very best to Randy Orton. Hope that his recovery goes well. We would love to see him back in the ring, but first and foremost, he's got to take care of himself. I mean, this is a guy with a wife and a family and a mountain of money. There's no reason for him to come back if it's going to require any risk to his health, his career, or his life, or anything like that. But hopefully everything goes well, and it would be awesome if we could get Randy back for one more run, because I would hate for his career, a career like his, that was so storied with so many championships and how decorated he is, for it to end on a whimper like that. I would like to see him, be able to come back and finish up his career, even if it's just, a farewell tour, wrestle for another year, hang it up, Hall of Fame, that type of stuff. I just hope that whatever Randy Orton does, he's able to go out on the terms that he's comfortable with. That's all I care about in terms of his career. And if this is the last we see of Orton, then so be it. But we still have a lifetime of memories to remember of Randy Orton, and the dude had some pretty goddamn good matches. So all the best to the Viper. Not very good news there. Who knows? We can't even speculate at this point. I don't know. Exact back fusion surgery does not sound good. I am a surgeon. I decided to be a restaurant manager instead of a surgeon. Otherwise, I would have done it. But if I decided to be a surgeon, I could break all this down for you. But unfortunately, I don't really know about this injury or what they do or what's done and what the recovery time is for something like this. But I can imagine rehab is going to be long. And I just hope that we can see Randy in the ring again someday. So all the best to Randy Orton there. The Mia Yim name change was pretty funny. Like I talked about, she resurfaced on Raw a couple of weeks ago as the OC's answer to Rhea Ripley in the Judgment Day. when they brought her back, I guess they were calling her Mia Yim on the first week, but the announce team, or they started calling her Michin, not sure how you pronounce it. And then last week, that's what they were calling her. Now, I barely even watched Raw. I knew Raw was going to suck this week. Yeah, it was a go-home show, but it was largely a bore, and I only watched a little bit of it. But apparently the fans, like they tend to do, got all up in arms about the name change and went bonkers on WWE to the point where they actually changed it back. So again, I don't know what goes into these thought processes, what makes them decide to do something, and what makes them decide to change their mind. Why was this amount of fan backlash enough to change the name, but the Butch backlash was not? What makes her situation different from his? You know what I mean? So I'm dying to know, like, why are these decisions made in the first place? Why did you even change your fucking name? It's so stupid. And then why did you change it back? Think these things through before you do them, you know? Like, if you're going to make a big change or you're going to change somebody's name, think about what the fans might think of that. Vince never did that. Maybe Triple H is starting to, but next time he wants to do this shit, you know, and next time he wants to, you know, change a guy's name to fucking Tiddlywinks or something, make sure you at least assess how you believe the fans are going to react to this, and if it's even worth the bullshit. Because if you change the wrong person's name, the fans are not going to let up. And is it even worth having every single post about this person, about their name, fans shitting on it, getting pissed? So I think when it comes to that stuff, WWE, just a little bit more thinking would be helpful, I think, for WWE to think these things through just a little bit. But Mia Yim is back. I don't believe, is she in this war? What the hell is the team? Yeah, she's already in the match. Okay, so it's Bianca, Alexa, Asuka, Mia Yim, and a TBD. So she's in the match as well. That's why Beth Phoenix is a little weird. I still think Beth would work, but they might want to save Beth. They might want to save her for the Rumble or something like that. And I still think Rhea Ripley is probably being poised to go into WrestleMania to face Bianca Belair. At least that's what I do with Rhea Ripley. I don't know if Bianca can hold the belt that long or not. She still has to get through the Rumble and everything, but if that's the plan, I can kind of see them going there. So I think along the way, Rhea Ripley needs to beat Beth Phoenix. I hate to say it, you know, but if that's going to be the plans for Ripley whenever Beth comes in and they have their match, Rhea should beat her. And that's what I think anyway. Like I said, AEW Rampage has already aired tonight. Aired for me here on the West Coast at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 1 p.m. it airs for me, so I saw none of it until the very end. But I did catch what I guess was supposed to be a six-man match between Butcher, Blade, and Bandito taking on the Dark Order, but it was John Silver and Reynolds, but 10. Preston Vance was nowhere around. They were teasing this stuff in the Mark Henry interview before the match. We don't know where he is, and they've been teasing him turning for months now. Feels like a long time they've been teasing this 10 turn ever since Andrade approached him backstage a few months back. I was like, yep, there you go. He's going to turn. And finally, they did it here. He no-shows on his team. I guess most of this was a handicap match. Is that right? Like 3-on-2. And I didn't even see what the finish was or who won or whatever. I think Butcher, Blade, and Bandito won. All I know was after the match, 10 did show up, and he attacked his Dark Order teammates, threw Evil Uno, I believe, into the steps on the outside of the ring, and then they brought Evil Uno in the ring, and he was bloodied, and he tore his mask off, and -1 is there. He's standing up on the ramp watching all this go down. He's heartbroken. Really good stuff. And when Preston is done, he walks up the ramp right towards -1, and he pulls off the mask, and he throws it down on his feet, and he walks away. So I thought all that was pretty good. We finally got the 10 turn that we've been waiting for, and now the poor little guy, -1, can just go in the back and be consoled by Ty Mello and Anna Jay. Rough life that kid has, huh? So, yeah, the 10 turn has now happened. That's great. Well, hopefully, hopefully they do great things with him. And I remember ever since he got the shit kicked out of him by Moxley. Remember that like Moxley squash where Moxley just came to the ring, beat the hell out of 10, beat him bloodied. One of my favorite AEW matches of all time. So I remember that night thinking that, oh man, they're going to have to, hopefully they can take this and turn it into something for 10 because he got his ass kicked in that. But now he is officially a heel and he has turned on the Dark Order. That's a shame. So that's really all we had to get into in terms of news. Otherwise, I think the news was kind of light. If there's anything you want me to hit or touch on, I will. But like I said, between the Randy Orton news, Rampage today, Mia Yim, and all of the Elite and shit on Dynamite this week and the CM Punk rumors. We got into all that already, so there wasn't much to get into today, but I definitely wanted to get up here and make a pre-Survivor Series appearance so we can talk about these matches. So let's go ahead and predict this now. Again, I would really appreciate some thumbs ups on this video. Please smash that like button if you don't mind, so we can try to get the likes to match the amount of people in the chat. That would be fantastic. Chloe Adams, I want to thank you for that. Buck chiming in. Nice super chat. Thank you very much. Rhea Ripley needs to win the Rumble. I could see that. I could see Rhea winning the Rumble. I just wonder where she's got to get that match with Beth Phoenix. I wonder where that has to happen. I wonder if maybe Beth is the mystery partner tonight or for WarGames tomorrow, and then that sets up a Rhea-Beth showdown. I know we have no pay-per-view in December, but we might have a big TV. I mean, I would love Raw and SmackDown needs some stuff, right? You know, we need some big matches on these shows. That's what Dynamite has over Raw, is a lot of their matches, you know, they tell you about them the week before, and some of them are pay-per-view caliber or quality matches, and Raw sometimes doesn't always have that. So if you book, you know, Rhea and Beth Phoenix for Raw one week, put that shit in the main event. I'd be perfectly fine with that main event for a Monday Night Raw. So maybe they just do the Beth Rhea stuff on TV, or maybe Beth Phoenix, we don't see her until the Royal Rumble. Maybe it's a situation where Rhea Ripley is in the ring at the Rumble. She's cleared out a bunch of women. She's the only one in the ring. And then Beth Phoenix's music hits. That might be the way to do it. Again, you've got to stretch this out another 2 months and just kind of reference Beth on TV and kind of sort of remind the fans that issue is not over. But you could do that. I think that would be a great spot to do Rhea in the Rumble. And then Beth comes out and they brawl. And I still think Rhea winning the Rumble, maybe she dumps Beth Phoenix out. You know, maybe she's able to dump Beth Phoenix out in the Rumble, and then they have a match on TV after that or something. Maybe they have a match on at the Rumble. That's possible. Rhea and Beth could face at the Rumble, and then they could both also be in the Royal Rumble match later. That's a possibility. It just all depends. But they could do a lot of things with those two. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we're talking here. Let's start predicting this Survivor Series show. WWE Survivor Series 2022, live from Boston tomorrow. Like I said, I only have 5 matches here that we are going to predict. So if they add another one on SmackDown, I'll predict that on social media. As a matter of fact, I'll predict it on Instagram. That's a good place for you guys to check that out. Shoot me a follow over there on Instagram now that I'm finally on this platform, joining it last week. So if they add any other matches to this show, I'm going to predict them on Instagram tonight. So just keep a lookout for that if they add more shit. But let's start with, I guess, the only I guess there's a few non-championship matches. Let's start with AJ Styles and Finn Balor, because that's just a straight one-on-one match here. OC and Judgment Day. OC and JD taking on each other here. I think it could go either way. AJ and Finn is a great match on paper. I know they've had some battles before. They might have even battled at a Survivor Series before, didn't they? They battled somewhere. Maybe it was a TLC. I know they've had a pay-per-view match against each other, probably more than one. Battle of the Bullet Clubs. I don't know how you do this. I guess it could go either way in the end. I think Finn Balor could use the victory more than AJ. AJ's already had several WWE title runs, even though Finn Balor's had a decent career in WWE. I don't think he's accomplished what AJ has. I think AJ's got, he could survive a loss way more easily than Balor can. And they've been trying to repair Balor and some of the mistakes made with his booking in recent years as well. And they're trying to, this new look of the Judgment Day since kicking Edge out. I would keep that running. It seems like they want to run with it. The Dominic and Rhea Ripley stuff is really over. Damian Priest is doing his thing. So I would keep rolling with the Judgment Day, and I would have Finn Balor go over here. I don't think it's going to be any sort of a clean win. It's probably going to be all sorts of shit going on the outside, but at the end of the day, I think Balor should hit AJ with the coup de Gracie and get the win. So I'm picking Finn Balor in that. U.S. title. Let's do that one. U.S. title on the line. Seth Rollins defending in a triple threat match against Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley. Now, we've seen this transformation in Austin Theory in the last couple of weeks. He gave a really good explanation, honestly, for why he did cash in on the U.S. title, citing that Roman Reigns is the double champion who's sitting at home with the protection of the bloodline. Going into that would be a suicide mission. And he explained why he went after the championship that he did. And it made a lot of sense. And I would like that to be added. Now that's another factor you can think about with the Money in the Bank, is really the Money in the Bank briefcase could be cashed in on any title, since we've now seen it cashed in on the World, the NXT, and the US. So there's, you want to cash it in on the tags, you can probably do that too if you want. So based on Theory's new attitude, his very, very aggressive nature that he's had in the last couple of weeks that has gotten over well with the fans. Fans have taken notice. And I think a hard reset here with Theory is way better than anything he would have done, anything that obnoxious character would have done with the Money in the Bank briefcase. So I, from the very start, said that I had no issue with how they booked him. Everybody lost their mind the night that he failed his cash in. Oh my God, what are they doing with Theory? All these people that hated Theory, did not want him anywhere near their TV, are all of a sudden offended for him for how he was booked. I found that really weird, but I didn't give a shit. What do I care? It doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. He explained why. Now, I think that explanation could have been better handled if he did it the same week instead of the week after, and it wasn't treated as a response to the fans being like, yo, this doesn't make any sense. But I think based on how terribly he was booked, we had it in our head. We talked about it that week. I'm like, I'm pretty sure to do that to him, there's got to be a reason for it, which means he's either in trouble or they are completely changing the direction with his character. We didn't see any suspensions listed the next day. He wasn't suspended for 30 days for a wellness policy violation, nothing like that. So he wasn't in any trouble. So I felt like that was his way. Triple H's way of getting and shedding that skin and going in a new direction with Theory. And it did not take long for fans to say, ooh, I like this Theory. Dude can cut a promo. He's good at being vicious. He's good at being cocky. If I'm WWE, I am making Theory my MJF. That's what I would do. I would make him the counterpart to MJF. Talk the same type of trash. He's got that same type of cocky look to him. Plus, physically, he has a lot more size and presence than MJF. So WWE can say, you know what? Our MJF is better than yours. Can't really say that. There's only one MJF, current AEW champion. He's fucking great. We love MJF. But if I'm WWE, if I'm in their shoes, I'm looking at Theory as our counterpart to MJF. And I would book him as such. And I would try to see if we can get Theory to outdo everything MJF is doing on the other show. It's going to be hard to do that. Those are big shoes to fill. But like if I'm Triple H, that's what I'm trying to compete against. Not directly against it. I'm still going to have my own ideas for Theory and his character and his angles and his direction. But in terms of who his counterpart in the competition would be, that would be who I would be eyeballing there. We kind of thought about the same thing with Miz and MJF for a long time, right? But now with this new attitude, this cocky bullshit, he's much more aggressive. He talks a lot more smack instead of the smiling, obnoxious douchebag selfies. You know, he's now a little bit more focused, a little bit more aggressive, and talks all kind of smack on the mic, just like MJF does. So that's what I would do if I'm WWE. Will he win the U.S. title here? I'm going to say no. I'm going to go with Rollins to retain. I think Rollins should hold on to this belt for a little longer. I suppose you could do a title change here if you wanted, but I feel like the only reason Rollins won the title is to get the title off of Lashley so he didn't have to lose it to Brock. You know what I mean? Because there's no reason for Brock to be the U.S. champion, and they had their match at Crown Jewel. So I kind of thought they were getting the belt off of him like temporarily, but now since Lashley and Brock's issue is still not over and we got a third match coming, probably at the Rumble, I don't think Lashley's going to be winning this title back either. So it's down to Seth or Theory. If WWE has just set Theory on this course of being super aggressive, do you really want him losing in this first match, or do you want to make a statement here with him? And now he's going to win the very same title that he failed his cash-in on a couple of weeks before. If Theory loses here, do you think that hurts him in any way? I personally don't. He's in there with Seth and Lashley. What year was it that there was a triple threat match? It was, what was it? Brock, maybe Brock and Seth and Cena, right? Whatever year that was. 2015, 2016, something like that, Royal Rumble, right? That was a really good triple threat match. It would be cool if this match could mirror that in some way, because you have a lot of, you got Seth is in there, you got Theory could play your Cena role, and you got Lashley playing the Brock role. I think this has potential to be a big match, but I am Team Seth Rollins right now. I don't really know how to explain his character to anyone, but I do know that I like his character, and I think he's fucking great. I've always had Seth Rollins back. I'm glad that he's finally found something that does resonate, that does connect. For a long time there, even when he was champion, a lot of fans felt that he was boring, or he didn't deliver much on the mic, or he didn't have a whole lot to offer other than his spectacular in-ring work. And I'm like, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think he's stuck in this Vince system a little bit, but there's definitely talent in there. There's definitely charisma in there. And I've always known that. And now seeing it come out with his obnoxious bullshit and his jackets and his laughing and his suits and his glasses and, oh my God, and his music. He's got the fans singing his theme when he comes to the ring all the time. I'm loving Seth Rollins. I would like to see him continue his U.S. title run. So I'm going to predict that he keeps the title here, but perhaps his issue with Theory doesn't necessarily end either. And when Cody comes back next year, be cool to see Cody and Seth potentially battle for one more match, this time for a championship with some gold on the line. That's always possible as well. And Royal Rumble should be a pretty big card. So it just depends on what WWE has planned for that. But I'm going to predict Seth Rollins to retain the U.S. title. You want to know why? Because I'm going to predict something that nobody else is predicting. I'm going to predict that Shotzi Blackheart, or Shotzi, defeats Ronda Rousey and becomes the SmackDown Women's Champion. I'm going out on a limb because there's no point in me picking Ronda. Everybody's picking Ronda. So let's just have some fun. Let's pick Shotzi to win the championship on account of the returning Charlotte, who's going to make her appearance in this match. She's going to attack Ronda Rousey after a ref bump or something like that, beat the fuck out of her, throw her in the ring. Shotzi's going to win the title. If WWE wants to make Charlotte a face when she comes back, if they want to try to do that, luckily, if they're going to do that, I trust Triple H way more than Vince. Vince would bring Charlotte back, throw her in front of everybody, make her a face, and then pretend the fans aren't booing her, just like he did with John Cena. Triple H might be a little bit more tactical in his approach. So if Charlotte comes back, if you want to get her over as a face, helping Shotzi beat Ronda, helping a baby face that most fans like beat a heel that most fans hate, should help you get Charlotte over a little bit better as a face. And then when she faces Ronda, maybe Triple H is saying, I know the fans hate Charlotte, but they also hate Ronda too, and I'm going to bank on the fact that they hate Ronda a little bit more than Charlotte. And the two of them can do their match. Now, I still think there will be plenty of time for Ronda to win the belt back from Shotzi and then go on to defend it or lose it against Charlotte. I definitely think you can do that. But I feel like if you're not going to have Shotzi win with some help from Charlotte in some sort of an upset here, then all this match is a filler. All this match is a buffer. There is no other reason for this match to happen at all on a pay-per-view. This should be TV and TV only, and that's it. So why would you do it? Unless you're specifically putting on this match on the card to be a buffer or a filler, then yeah, obviously Ronda's just going to tap Shotzi out, and that's going to be the end of it. But this is a Big Four pay-per-view. It's in a big market. It's in a big arena. Charlotte has been due to come back for quite some time. We thought she was going to come back at SummerSlam and at Crown Jewel, or maybe not at Crown Jewel. She would have been spotted there. But a lot of us have been expecting her back on TV any moment. I suppose she could stay gone until the end of the year and you bring her back at the Rumble, but I'd bring her back now. It's Survivor Series. It's a big pay-per-view. It's supposed to be anyway. And if you're not going to have Sasha come back because she might be leaving the company or going on to do other things or whatever, and it's not going to be Sasha, I think giving the fans Charlotte could be a good consolation prize, especially if Charlotte is the reason for a big title change upset. So because of that, I'm picking Ronda Rousey to lose the SmackDown Women's title and Shotzi to win the title. Let's do it. Let's predict it. Let's predict it and hope it happens. So Shotzi, we're rooting for you, girl. Women's WarGames match. Team Bianca teaming up, I should say, with Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Mia Yim, and an opponent to be announced in about 1 hour and a half from now, taking on Damage Control, Rhea Ripley, and Nikki Cross. So we have to talk about the mystery partner. We did all of that in the beginning. We talked about all of the names. We talked about Dana Brooke, Raquel, Tegan, Candice, who else? Becky Lynch. Could be anybody. It could also be... oh gosh, what's her name? I forgot her name now. I forgot who we talked about. Spaz, who are all the people that you mentioned earlier? Dana, Sarah, Liv Morgan. Yeah, it could be Liv Morgan. Piper Niven is another one that I really like. It would be so cool if they would bring her back. Although I think if they're going to bring Piper back, it would be on Raw. Tegan, like I said, makes a lot of sense. It just depends. Since it's going to be announced tonight on SmackDown, I personally believe that it's probably going to be somebody who's returning from an injury or somebody who's recently signed. So that would narrow it down, in my mind, to Becky Lynch or Tegan Nox or Candice LeRae or a wild card for Beth Phoenix. I really don't know who it's going to be. But what I do know is I think that if you're going to have a mystery opponent on a team, that team is probably going to win. So I'm going to pick the baby faces here, even though I still think there's a possibility that Alexa Bliss could be a wild card in this. I still think they're going to do a connection with her and Bray Wyatt. She has acted a little weird on TV in the past few weeks, so that could play a role if, because Bray Wyatt is probably going to make an appearance on the show too, right? He's probably going to do something, come out, cut a promo, maybe an Uncle Howdy thing or something. So if something happens in this match, like the lights quickly flicker, maybe it influences Alexa somehow, or, she kind of gets, caught up in it or cursed by it or hypnotized by it, I should say. And maybe that is enough to distract her to give the heels the advantage over a babyface team that has now one member of its team completely lost its mind or something. So I think maybe Alexa could have something to do with the finish here as well. But I still think at the end of the day, you should have the women win. I think it would be a good opportunity, to pin Bianca Belair or something and set up a big match in the future. You do have Rhea Ripley on the other side. I think Rhea and Bianca could be your WrestleMania match for the championship. So if you have Bianca take a pin here from Ripley, that could be good. But at the same time, I think if they did that, you would have to do Ripley and Bianca a lot sooner than WrestleMania. And I think before Ripley and Bianca do their deal, I think Ripley's got to do stuff with Beth Phoenix and whatnot. So that's why I think Beth Phoenix is really likely to be the partner here as well. But at the end of the day, I'm going to pick Team Bianca to win this. However they do it. It would be really cool if it was Becky Lynch, because I think that was what this was all intended for. Damage Control made their debut at the end of the Becky Lynch and Bianca match, and I think that was the beginning to set up WarGames. They probably had the whole thing in their mind even at that point. But then Becky Lynch got hurt. She was knocked out. She would actually make the most sense for their partner because of the history already with Bianca and with Damage Control. So Becky would be awesome. But again, if it's not Becky or what, and if it is Becky, you can guarantee the baby faces sure as shit are winning that match. So I'm gonna pick Team Bianca to win the women's WarGames match, which leaves us with the main event, the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens taking on the entire bloodline. Both Usos, Solo Sikoa, Sami Zayn, and our tribal chief. This one could be all sorts of fun. Now, I think a lot of fans have had on their radar that the bloodline will lose because of Sami Zayn. I think this is an excellent opportunity. I can barely talk. Excellent opportunity to pin Roman Reigns if you had to. If you wanted to beat him here, I would have Kevin Owens pin him. That would be great. Kevin Owens pins Roman Reigns. But then that would just set up yet another match. I know Owens on TV has made it known that he's going to kind of be coming after Roman Reigns. He's also going to be tied in to this Sami Zayn stuff. I kind of feel like they're planting some seeds for Roman and Owens again at the Royal Rumble. They've got unfinished business from the Royal Rumble a couple of years ago in the Thunderdome when that whole botched handcuff thing happened, and Kevin Owens basically should have won the Universal title that night, and in his words, ended Roman Reigns' long run before it even started. And he came close to doing that. So revisiting that again at the Royal Rumble would be great. However, I really want Kevin Owens to win the WWE title this year. There's a lot of things I want. I want Owens to win the title. I want Cody to come back and win the Royal Rumble. I want Sami Zayn to potentially have a moment. I think a lot of guys should find their way back to the championship like Seth Rollins. And that's why I think at some point you got to figure out a way to ununify these titles with Roman Reigns somehow. But I don't know how you're going to do that and what they even have planned for that. So in the short term, Roman is going to be defending the title. You know that at the Royal Rumble. I feel like whoever his opponent is going to be for that should be set up here. They should do some sort of planting of the seeds for that. A lot of people have tossed out Sheamus's name. I love that. Roman Reigns and Sheamus fought at Survivor Series, didn't they, all those years back in a terrible match? Or maybe that was the year Sheamus cashed in the brief. I forgot what the fuck, but I know they've had some run-ins before when Roman wasn't really over, but now with the Brawling Brutes, I would love to see Sheamus get a championship match against Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. I think the two would have a fucking banger. Sheamus is doing the best work of his career. He deserves this, and I think a lot of fans would like to see it for him. I still don't think Sheamus should be winning the title, but I think he could make an excellent opponent for Roman Reigns and, maybe even take him to the limit and come close to beating him, but not quite doing it. If you're not going to do Sheamus, then I also think Kevin Owens would be the way to go there. You could also do a triple threat. Owens, Sheamus, Roman. at the Rumble. Screwy finish, separate the titles out somehow. Maybe you could do that. But with everything that Owens has been saying on the mic, I feel like WWE is definitely letting us know that we are not finished with the Owens and Roman Reigns relationship, and they will have another showdown, especially when you tie in Sami Zayn. And that's what I said earlier. I think a lot of fans, it's on their radar that Sami is going to cost the Bloodline the win. I'm not sure if that's the case. All I know 100%, tomorrow, Sami Zayn will play a pivotal role in the finish. It might be in the winning. It might be, it might be to win the match. He might pin somebody. That's what I think will happen. I think Sami Zayn will either get pinned or do the pinning. That's what I predict. I just don't know which direction WWE wants to go in. You could do either one here. They could have Sami fuck up, and that's the end of him. And then the Bloodline turns on him, and he's devastated, distraught, kicked out of the Bloodline. And who's there to pick him up? His old buddy Kevin Owens. Then you got Owens and Sami going after the Usos for the tag team titles. That would be great. But at the same time, hypothetically, let's say Sami does cost the team the victory. Aside from Roman being pinned, now if Sami does something and it costs Roman the match and Roman specifically is pinned, I can see no coming back from that for Sami. You are the reason that I've been pinned for the first time in 9 years or whatever it's been. I could see Roman being very pissed about that. If Sami fucks up and Jay gets pinned, Roman might be angry, but given the fact that Roman has made him an honorary Uso and they've been treating him very well, this is one fuck up. I almost think, based on how Roman is treating Sami, that this mistake, albeit a bad one and one that the tribal chief is going to be very angry about, I don't know if it would be enough to kick Sami Zayn out. He would have to make some sort of a catastrophic error. Owens is holding, somebody's, or he hits Roman with a chair accidentally is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, Roman is holding Owens, and Sami goes to hit him with a chair. Owens ducks, bam, he cracks Roman right in the face. He goes down. Owens disposes of Sami, stunner to Roman, pins Roman Reigns. Owens pins Reigns because of Sami Zayn. That might be enough to boot Sami out of the Bloodline completely. So they could go with a finish like that. But you know what? I think I'm going to go with the Bloodline to win. I'm picking the baby faces in the women's WarGames, so I think I'm going to pick the heels here, even though the Brawling Brutes, I love their team. McIntyre's a fucking stud. I'm always going to be Team Owens. I think if I had gun to my head to pick a favorite wrestler in wrestling right now, it would be Kevin Owens. I don't really do favorite wrestlers, but if somebody made me pick, I'm going to pick Kevin Owens. He's my guy. I think he's fantastic. So as much as I love the team, I still think the Bloodline winning could extend the storyline and make the holidays a lot of fun. You know what I mean? I don't know if I want Sami Zayn kicked out of the Bloodline prior to Christmas. I think the Christmas shows on SmackDown will be fun. Don't you guys want to see what kind of presents Sami Zayn buys for the Bloodline? Don't you want to see what he gets solo in Jimmy and Roman compared to what he gets for Jay? They might get big, extravagant gifts, Rolex watches, fucking paintings, and a Lexus with a bow on it out in the parking lot, and then Jay gets his lump of coal. That would be fun, too. So I don't know if I'm ready to see Sami Zayn booted out of the Bloodline just yet, which is why I'm picking the Bloodline to win here. So I'm going to go one better. I think not only will the Bloodline win, but I think Sami Zayn will get the win. He'll get the victory somehow, and then they can extend things a little further. Now, at some point, Sami and Owens have to come back together. At some point, they will reunite. At some point, I think they will take on the Usos and probably even beat the Usos for the tag team titles. I don't know how that's going to factor into Owens getting a world title shot this year, and it might not be in the cards for him in the next few months if they're going to do that, but I still think you could do it at the end. If you can just get through the holidays and then like the beginning of the year, right after Sami Zayn gives Roman Reigns, spends half of his life savings on a Roman Reigns Christmas present, Roman gives the old boom, and then Sami is just beaten down. Honorary Uso shirt torn off of him, blood on his face, completely distraught, thrown out the back door, and now he's basically hit rock bottom. He's got nowhere else to go. He's in a deep state of depression, suicidal even, just completely broken in every way. And then he gets an old familiar hand to lift him up, pick him up, dust his little tushy off and say, Sammy, Let's rock and roll again, reform the unit, and we'll take down the Bloodline. We'll take them down 2 at a time. Our first order of business is going to get our hands on the Usos, and we'll win our tag team titles. Maybe Owens. Owens is ruthless, too. I would love to see Owens and Sammy come together, and then they book like a tag team title match on TV or a pay-per-view. Owens, Sammy against the Usos, and then prior to the match, maybe like backstage, Owens takes out Solo Sikoa, just takes him out, attacks him, hits him with a chair, sends him to the hospital. So now they got no backup. The only person that's going to come out there and save the Usos is going to be Roman Reigns, and that's going to be up to him if he wants to get his hands dirty. But if they take out their enforcer and their muscle ahead of that tag match, then they have a legitimate shot to win, and they could win. And imagine, I think of like when the Rhodes brothers beat, it was either Team Hell No or Beat the Shield. There was a great tag team title match on Raw in like 2013 or something, right? And it was Goldust and Cody, and they won the championships, and it was a great moment to see them like hugging in the ring, and the crowd was going nuts. Like that same type of moment for Owens and Sammy would be really special in the beginning of the year, early February, something like that. But, and that's where a lot of this, I think, could be, the seeds could be planted. I could be way wrong on my prediction here. I fully admit that Sammy could very well cost the Bloodline the match, causing all sorts of turmoil and dissension and stuff. But I think just the fan in me would like the peace to last just a little longer before the wheels come off and it all goes to shit. And I think if we can have Sammy in the Bloodline through the Christmas holiday, that will make for some splendid TV. I'd rather see a happy Sammy giving out Christmas presents to everybody than a sad, distraught Sammy not knowing which direction his life is going to go in. So I kind of hope that it's held off a little bit longer, and I hope Sammy has another good showing here at WarGames, and he somehow gets the win from his team, gets the pin, and celebrates, much to the dismay of Jay, especially if it's a finish where like Jay does all the dirty work, right? That would be great. I would love to see a finish where Jay is in there kicking ass. And I don't sleep on Jay Uso either. I think when all this is said and done, he might still have a singles run in him because he's been doing great work with his distrust and his dislike for Sammy and taking all the bullshit from Roman. Eventually, this is going to boil over, and if the Usos lose the tags in a scenario that I laid out earlier, Jake can be like, "Where were you, Tribal Chief? We're out there, and we were outmanned, and you didn't come out there and help us." Who knows what that could lead to? But I wouldn't forget about Jey Uso either. I definitely think he could at some point have some sort of a singles match with Roman down the line. And I think it's anybody's ball game who takes those titles or title off of Roman. It could be Jay. It could be Sami Zayn. It could be Sammy as well. But imagine a scenario in WarGames where Jay is just kicking the shit out of everybody. He's on a rampage. He knocks out, I don't know, fucking Butch or Ridge Holland. He's out, hits him with a super kick, and then Sammy kind of scurries in. And let's say Roman has his back turned for all of this. They book it in a way where where Jay is going off, kicking everybody's ass. Roman is either distracted or he's down. He's not seeing any of this go down. And then Jay lays out everybody, but then gets taken out. And then Sammy notices this fallen body who Jay is taken out on the mat. Let's say it's Butch or Ridge Holland or whatever. And he decides to cover it just as Roman Reigns is coming to. And he turns around and sees Sammy cover, hook the leg. Referee goes 1, 2, 3. And in Roman's eyes, Sammy did all the work. And maybe you can even have another miscommunication earlier in the match where Jay accidentally super kicks Roman. So not only is Roman already pissed at Jay, he thinks Sammy did all the work. Sammy got the pin, just further driving a wedge between him and Jey Uso. Something like that could be fun. So I think the Jay and Sammy dynamic is almost as fun as, the Roman and Sammy dynamic. So there's a lot there. There's more mileage, a little bit more mileage. I know this can't stretch out well into next year past WrestleMania. This all has to be figured out by then, I believe. But I do think you got another month left to play with it. And I am all about seeing Sami Zayn in the Bloodline during the holidays. So we are going to pick the Bloodline to win the main event. Team Roman Reigns again. Roman walks out of yet another pay-per-view victorious. I do foresee problems on social media because I know what the fans are going to think before they think it. And if the Bloodline wins, you're going to, what again, Roman? Blah, blah, they should have done this or they should have done that. Everybody's going to be Master Booker and say what WWE should have done when really all it is their frustration that one guy keeps winning all the time. So they get mad and then they try to turn it into, oh, it didn't make sense. I'm like, no, it makes plenty of fucking sense. Roman is goddamn dominant, and I think he should remain that way. He will drop at least one of those titles at WrestleMania. That's a given, but you're going to have to wait until then, I think, to see this guy in any sort of serious jeopardy or even getting his shoulders pinned to the mat, because I'm not even sure if that's what I would do. I think it would be a great way to set up a title match, and it would be a pretty shocking thing for us fans to see Roman Reigns be pinned for the first time in 2.5 years. Totally. But, I almost think you can accomplish what you need to accomplish without doing that and preserve that pin. Because if you pin him now, is a pin at WrestleMania going to feel as special if he's already been pinned a few months before? You know what I mean? So I think that holding off Roman being being pinned until Mania makes the moment when he is beat that more powerful and that much more special, in my humble little bald man opinion. Anyway, there you go. In a nutshell, I'm picking Rollins to retain the U.S. title. I'm picking Shotzi to beat Ronda for the SmackDown Women's title with help from Charlotte Flair. Finn Balor over AJ Styles. Team Bianca to win the Women's WarGames match, and the Bloodline to win the men's. There you go. There are my predictions for Survivor Series 2022. Let's cruise back here to the chat, see what you guys have to say, and then I've got to wrap things up and head out of here because I've got work to do tonight as well. What's up, Destiny? What's up, Ben? What's up, JP Reckless? Rhodes versus Shield. Yeah, it was Battleground 2. Oh, I thought it was on Raw. Why was I thinking that was on Raw? I'm an idiot. Maybe because Battleground was red, right? The logo was red. So maybe in my memory, I'm thinking of this as a Raw match. But yeah, it was Rhodes versus Shield. And so maybe a Rhodes versus Shield type of match could be recreated with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens taking on the Usos. I totally believe that. Vash, good to see you. SCW, the wrestling channel. Go shoot my friend over there some love. He's got a great channel. Does good stuff over there. Thank you for that. Appreciate the well wishes. Rhea versus Bianca needs to happen soon. Match was due to happen at Money in the Bank. That's right. So I guess that match was already penciled in. So yeah, maybe Bianca and Rhea isn't WrestleMania. It might be Royal Rumble, and they could do a whole bunch of seed planting for that as well. But don't forget about the Beth Phoenix stuff. That's why I think you could do Beth and Rhea first to kill time. That would buy you some time to postpone Rhea and Bianca to WrestleMania, because when you think about the Raw roster, you should take the strongest babyface and the strongest heel, right? Your strongest babyface is your champion, and Rhea Ripley, it feels like Judgment Day was created for the sole purpose of getting her over again, and I think it's working. So that's who I would go with from where we sit today at WrestleMania, and I'm perfectly fine with waiting that long, because I think Rhea Ripley and Bianca both can have distractions and things to do without having to face each other quite yet. They could hold it off till Mania. Sometimes you see an angle like, how the hell are they going to make it to WrestleMania on this? But Rhea and Bianca aren't even feuding yet. So that's why I think you can plant a little bit of a seed here, but you can do Rhea and Beth Phoenix first before you do anything. And that's why I think Rhea Ripley winning the Royal Rumble would be great. She's the one I'm rooting for. So I'm cool with holding off on Rhea and Bianca. I am no rush. I don't believe it needs to happen soon. It could happen soon, but I don't think it's essential. It could be held off to WrestleMania. What the fuck do we care? What does it matter? So I think either way on that, we'll see what they wind up doing. Danny H. Vlogs, I'm 90% sure it's going to be Sasha Banks. She's from Boston. She also has history with Bayley, good and bad. I also think Alexa is going to get taken out of the match, and Becky Lynch will replace her. Okay, so you've got Becky and Sasha in this thing. The only thing about that, though, Danny, is you got to remember, yes, Survivor Series is in Boston. If it was going to be Sasha Banks, they would announce it there. I don't think, if it was going to be Sasha Banks, I don't personally believe that's an announcement they would make tonight on SmackDown. I think they would wait until Boston, give that crowd that moment. There's no reason to sell any more tickets for the event. I'm sure it's sold out. So there's no reason to announce this early to finish selling your tickets. I think they've probably sold the tickets, and everybody's going to be watching this shit regardless. So I think part of the reason why they're announcing it tonight is because it's not Sasha Banks. That's why I don't think it's going to be her, Danny. I just don't feel it. I feel like the Boston stuff makes sense. She's got a ton of history with Bayley, yes, but there's a lot of other things that point to it not being her. And most importantly, the announcement happening on SmackDown. Oh yeah, JP Reckless. They could add Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight. I did read the Fightful article, or the Fightful report too, about Money in the Bank. Apparently, not necessarily moving to WrestleMania. Some of the higher ups in WWE says that has not really been internally discussed in any way. So Money in the Bank is going to remain a pay-per-view for right now. But in that article, it was mentioned that LA Knight was once penciled in to win the Money in the Bank this past year, and then plans fell through or whatever. And yeah, with what he did with Bray Wyatt last week, they could throw that one on the card along with maybe a Gunther Strowman match. God, I hope Strowman does not beat Gunther for that Intercontinental title. I will sell all my belongings and build a fort in the woods. I can't handle it. Yeah, JP Reckless, we already mentioned Beth Phoenix. I think she's a very good candidate tonight as well, or for tomorrow, because of her history with Rhea Ripley. But we will find out, like I said, in a very, very short amount of time. So that is going to do it for today. Ronnie, last minute coming in to say what's up. I am about to head out the door right now, my friend, but I'm glad you were able to catch us right at the very end. We just predicted the entire Survivor Series pay-per-view. We talked a little bit about Randy Orton and a whole bunch of other good stuff earlier on. So make sure you rewind back and check that out, Ronnie. And it's good to see you as always. You guys enjoy the rest of your Black Friday evening. Whatever you have planned, I wish you well. Hope it's a good night for you. And don't forget, we'll be back up here tomorrow night, right after Survivor Series, to do a full review of the show. In the meantime, shoot me a follow over on the Twitters, because I will be live tweeting tomorrow night during Survivor Series as well. So you guys have a great rest of your night, and I will catch you tomorrow night after Survivor